powered by Riverside FM.
It is time to pay Kwesi Adofo Mensah. It is time to pull out the checkbook. It is time to put pen to paper. It is time to pay my guy Kwesi. Now, I know there's a lot of Kwesi haters out there. And again, I always ask for, people that are not fans of Kwesi or that are Kwesi haters to put their thoughts in the comments, but everybody seems to run scared when it comes to putting something down of that's valid, that you can hang your hat on, other than the draft picks, about Kwesi Adofo Mensah, where you feel like he doesn't deserve to get the extension. Now, I think he's going to get the extension anyway. Doesn't matter what you and I think. It matters what the Minnesota Vikings brass thinks, and I think it's just a foregone conclusion that he's going to get paid. My whole thing is it's always a thing with me, is just the communication out to the public. I mean, the public relations of this dragging this thing along with Kwesi Adofo Mensah. When you know you're going to pay him anyway, you might as well get the deal done so you don't have to take bullets with your PR. Just sign it. You look at his free agency class last season, and again, my challenge to you is to find another free agency class like the class that Kwesi brought in last year. I will stand by this statement. It's a strong statement. I've been watching. I'm 52 years old, and I've been watching the NFL since I can remember. And there was a period of time where in the NFL, there really wasn't any free agency. But now that there is free agency, pick another class, pick another team, pick another GM that had the most impactful free agency class that Kwesi Adofo Mensah had last year. Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard, Blake Cashman, Gilly, Shaq Griffin. I can go on and on and on. And don't let me talk about the UDFs that he has brought in over the past couple of years. Then getting rid of one of the most egregious contracts. Really, the only contract that I can think of that was worse than Kirk Cousins' contract was Deshaun Watson for the Cleveland Browns. But you're talking about guaranteeing all that money to Kirk Cousins when he was just mediocre. Kwesi Adofo Mensah came in. He drew a line in the sand for Kirk Cousins and said, we'll have you back, but this is what we're going to pay you. If you don't want this, if you don't want a return for this price, you can kick rocks. And then he went to Atlanta and became Atlanta's problem. We took a hit for 1 year with the void years with his contract and Danielle Hunter's contract. Then we got up from under this past year, eating all those void years, just eating them up like Pac-Man. And now you see the fruits of Kwesi Adofo Mensah's labor. You see the fruits from the tree. You get rid of all those bad, egregious contracts and look at what you can do. The fact that he brought in Cashman, Van Ginkel, Grenard, Shaq Griffith, Stephon Gilmore last year when he was also dealing with void years from the Danielle Hunter and the Kirk Cousins contract was absolutely extraordinary. You better pay Kwesi. You better pay him because he knows what the heck he's doing. Then let's not talk about the whole Sam Darnold thing, man. You guys knew who Sam Darnold was. And I laugh because, there is no science to picking a good quarterback or knowing what a quarterback is going to do. There's just proof all over the place that people have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to these quarterbacks. They have no idea. Look at the whole Baker Mayfield situation in Cleveland. They threw him away for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is a shell of himself Baker Mayfield is flourishing in Tampa Bay. You look at Sam Darnold, who was on the trash heap, comes to Minnesota last year, and he's in the conversation for MVP. So I laugh because now we're hearing a whole lot of conversations about what Aaron Rodgers can do and what Aaron Rodgers can't do. Like, people know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to these quarterbacks. You just never know. It's all about situation, environment, and coaching. See, you're going to get the real here on Unconventional Playbook, I'm telling you. No one has any idea what they're talking about when it comes to these quarterbacks. But Kwesi Adofo Mensah and KOC saw something in Sam Darnold because they went and got him off the trash sheet. And by the end of this year, he was in the conversation, not saying that he was going to win it, but he was in the conversation for MVP of the league. Can't dispute it. Did he melt down the last 2 games? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But before that, he was in the conversation for MVP. Then you look at Kwesi's body of work over the last 48 hours. When have we ever had a GM that can put together a free agency class like that? So for all of you haters out there, do you really want Kwesi to go? Do you really want him to leave? Do you really want to hang your hat on the couple of drafts that he's had? And they've been bad. Listen, man, I'm not even going to sit here in front on you guys. They've been bad, UP Nation. I know. They've been bad. But I do believe that he is going to get better. And for some reason, this man has a talent for not only bringing in some of the best free agents around that will fit into our system, but he gets them at value. No egregious contracts like Spielman used to put together when he was running the show. You got to pay Kwesi, man. You have to put the pen to paper now to pay Kwesi Adofo Mensah. There's no reason not to. He's coming off having the best free agency class that there's ever been. And now I think if anyone would sit down and look at the Minnesota Vikings and look at what they needed to do during free agency and what they end up doing over the last 48 hours in free agency, I don't think anybody would argue that the Minnesota Vikings free agency grade should be at least an A. If you want to give them an A-, go ahead, give them an A- because they didn't bring in some of the names that we thought that they were going to bring in. But you can't argue with the names that the Minnesota Vikings have brought in. They are a better team now than they were 48 hours ago. You got to pay Kwesi, man. News came out today that Harrison the Hitman will be back for another year. I don't have the specifics on what the contract was, but we get him for another year. And I'm not saying that Harrison the Hitman has 2 or 3 years left in the tank, but I know he's got a really good year left in the tank with the new faces that we're bringing in on defense. Man, it's going to be glorious. Again, Kwesi Adofo Mensah. Cooper Kupp was released by the Rams today. Expect the Minnesota Vikings to be players for Cooper Kupp. You put Cooper Kupp on this offense becomes even more lethal than it was at times last year. And keep in mind, Jordan Addison has not served his suspension yet. More than likely, he's going to be suspended for at least 3 games at some point during the season. Man, Cooper Kupp would be nice to have in place of a missing Jordan Addison for 3 games. Expect the Minnesota Vikings to be players in that because I know what Kwesi can do. It's time for Kwesi to get paid. Again, I want to hear from the Kwesi, I don't want to call them haters, but I want to hear from the non-Kwesi fans out there. Somebody, and again, don't just put it in the comments that Kwesi sucks in his draft. Who would you bring in as GM to replace Kwesi? Who would you want to see with the purple in terms of a new GM other than Kwesi? Man, it's time to pay Kwesi. I'm not trying to hear that. It's time to give Kwesi Adofo Mensah an extension. Look at the work that he's been doing the last couple of years. Free agency, UDFs. The only place he needs improvement is the draft, and I understand how important that is. Kwesi's got to get that done this year, but he needs to get his extension. This is Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Please consider becoming a member. If you become a member, you enter a drawing to get a Minnesota Vikings Winter Warrior jersey. Those things are absolutely fantastic. This has been Unconventional Playbook. We will make sure to see you when we see you.